My wife's here taking videos of me. I'm going to give you a short lesson on what it takes to build a successful network marketing business. A really short lesson. I need the help from a group over here. Indonesia in the house? I thought I heard Indonesia in the house earlier. Indonesia in the house? That's pretty good. How about the Philippines? They in the house? I heard a different Philippines earlier. Philippines in the house? Pretty good. So as I was sitting here this morning listening to Ty name off the countries and the groups that came all the way here and the enthusiasm that they shared for the business, it reminded me what it takes to build an empire in network marketing is really the core ingredient is that sheer enthusiasm and belief. And so I really appreciate all of you. I was thinking about the Philippines, not even open there. It looks like there's 20 or 30 people that made the trip to here. I can't even imagine what it takes to do business in the Philippines when you're not even open with shipping and customs. And sometimes when we have it easy, we kind of get a little complacent, right? But these are pioneers, and that's pretty exciting stuff. But I didn't come to talk about that today. I came to tell you a story. Can I tell you a story?
Yes.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes.
How about 3 stories?
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you a story about me. I'm going to tell you a story about you. And I'm going to tell you a story about us. How about that?
Yay!
So, here's a story about me. So at the age of 22, I was working in the state of California in the United States in what's called a poultry processing plant. That is where we cut up chickens so that you and I can eat them. And that's what I did for 530 minutes a day. I did it for 4 years straight. And, you know, when I talk about that to people, I usually get some, like, blank stares. How many of you ever worked in a poultry processing plant? I'm the only person in the room that's ever worked in a poultry processing plant? Wow. Oh, hey, I got a couple of winners over there. So don't you think it would be right? I mean, how else are these people going to understand what I'm even talking about unless we teach them how to work in a poultry processing plant, right? I know you hate this, but it's good for your blood. Stand up. You don't need a partner. All you introverts will like that. Everybody stand up. That's not going to hurt. Not going to humiliate you. Just going to teach you how to work in a poultry processing plant so you can understand what life was like for me, and there's a lesson in it for you. Okay, so look at the screen. Look at these 2 fingers right here. What I'm going to teach you how to do is cut the wings off of chickens as they hang from their feet upside down. So this is a plucked, gutted chicken. So just like a chicken skin. No feathers, just the skinned chicken. Hanging by his feet, upside down, with his arms kind of out like this. Those are the chicken wings. So these chickens come by you. They come by you on this production line at 38 BPM. Free oil for anybody who can tell me what BPM stands for.
Body per minute.
What? Birds per minute? Winner, winner, chicken dinner! We'll have to get you some oil. I know there's some oil around here somewhere. So here's how you cut wings. So we're all going to practice this. You take these 2 fingers here on your left hand, and you're going to take them and drop them down onto the wing, and you're going to pull that wing off the body. Remember, this chicken is hanging from a metal shackle, so you're going to kind of stretch the shoulder joint as the birds go by you. You're You're going to drop these two fingers on the wing, and then you're going to take your knife hand, and you're going to take a real quick stab at that joint. It's going to kind of separate the joint, and then you're going to stab through it, and you're going to drop that wing in a tray below you, and then the ladies down there pack the wings. So it looks like this. Birds coming by, and it's like this. Got it? It's just like that. 38 times a minute. Oh, wait a minute. There's two wings on each bird.
Oops.
76 times a minute.
Oh my gosh.
Let me show you how. Ready? 76 times a minute. You got to do both sides, so. Okay, you got it pretty good. Wait, but wait. You only did it for like 8 seconds. For you to understand what I did for a living, you got to do it for 530 minutes. You get a break every 2 hours. So the reason I give you that demonstration is so you can understand my why. So I think it was, you can sit down. Thank you for that exercise. Now you know how to cut chickens. So Ty was talking earlier today about, you know, if you want to make it happen in a business like this, you need a real powerful reason. You got to have a purpose. You got to have a why. You got to have motive. You got to get motivated. You got to get on fire. You got to get on fire like the Philippines, right? You got to get on that kind of fire. In order to get on that kind of fire, you got to have a really good reason. So one of my really good reasons was 530 minutes a day times 38 BPMs. Does that make sense? So the question is, what's your really good reason? You got a really good reason? I'll show you another really good reason. This is where I used to live. This is the closest house in proximity to the chicken plant. You can't live any closer to the chicken plant than my house. I was all in, 100% chicken. So I bought the closest house to the chicken plant. I happened to go by there a couple of years ago to take a picture of it. I didn't realize that it was dilapidated and abandoned, but that's where I lived from 1974 to 1977, the age of 19 to the age of 22, working in a chicken plant. Here's where Kimmy and I live today.
Woo!
You live in that bush right there. Well, the house isn't all that magnificent, but the view's pretty good, so I took a picture of the view. So, yeah, 22 years old, I'm working at Foster Farms, cutting those chickens up, and like some of you, perhaps the reason you're not as motivated as you could be to build your empire is I actually liked working at the chicken plant. How many of you still have a full-time job? Okay, that's good. I think full-time jobs are really valuable, really important for building a business. How many of you like your full-time job? That's good too. You know, I actually liked working at the chicken plant. In fact, I loved it. In fact, I had a vision to spend the next 40 years at the chicken plant. I was going to end up running the chicken plant. I had chicken plant ambition, all kinds of it. The guy that ran the chicken plant, his name was Michael Hoyt. He had a company car. That was my vision. If you would have interviewed me in 1976, you'd say, hey, Richard, what do you want to do in life? I'd have said, I want to run the chicken plant so I can have a company car. But in 1977, a couple of things happened to me. One is, the same guy that got me the chicken plant, he started coming to me. He quit, gone to do something else. He started coming to me and telling me, hey, you need to come to a meeting. I want you to come to this meeting. You're going to learn how to make a lot of money. You know, come meet these people. We're going to make a lot of money. We're going to make a lot of money. We're going to make a lot of money. And this may not make any sense to you, but the idea of making a lot of money to somebody whose ambition is to work in a chicken plant, they just don't connect. So even though he was talking about a lot of money, and you might think, well, you know, everybody wants to make a lot of money, I actually didn't. What did I want to do?
You wanted a company car.
You're paying attention. I wanted to run the chicken plant. So do you ever talk to somebody about the opportunity and it seems like it goes right over their head? Like they don't even, like you're talking Chinese and they only understand, you know, some other, like English or something? Like you're talking with all kinds of excitement about, this is such an extraordinary opportunity, and let me tell you about Young Living, and let me tell you about these oils, and they can't even hear you. It's like, you don't make any sense to them. Well, I was that person. Why was I that person? Because I had something else on my mind. I had some other ambition. I was focused on something else, and that was actually the chicken plant. So the guy that was introducing me to network marketing, he kept inviting me to these meetings. I kept telling him, no, I'm not interested in going to those meetings. And then something happened, which may have happened to some of you, certainly will happen to people that you're talking to about the business. This company I work for is called Foster Farms. And Foster Farms came out with a company policy in 1977, about March of 1977, that said you can't advance any further in this chicken plant business unless you have a 4-year college education. All of a sudden they come out with this arbitrary policy. Guess how much college I had?
None. 1 year.
Well, how much, I don't know, do you have grade point averages here in Malaysia?
Yes.
You know what a grade point average is?
Yes.
Well, I had a 1.9 grade point average. That's 1/10 of a point away from failing high school. What college do you go to if you have a 1.9 grade average?
You don't.
You don't. You go to the chicken plant. So I didn't have any college. So as soon as that policy comes out, all of a sudden, my whole dream of running the chicken plant goes right down the toilet. And so all of a sudden, I became interested in what my buddy was saying, right? And that's going to happen to so many people you talk to. One of the things I'm going to be teaching at the Leadership Summit is that the people you talk to who tell you no, if you treat them right, if you honor them, if you stay in touch with them, they actually become the best people you'll ever talk to, if you treat them right. And so I was one of those people. I was one of those people that said, no, I'm not interested at all. He didn't actually treat me right, but I stayed in there anyway. And so in 1977, I got involved in network marketing. I was 22 years old. How many of you would consider yourself an introvert? You know what that is? Like, you don't really like people that much. Come on, how many of you? Yeah. You'd really, like, when somebody comes up and says, hey, we're going to do an exercise, find a buddy. You know, that's the last thing you want to do, right? You want to find a buddy and do an exercise? Those of us that are introverts. Well, I was an introvert. And so I didn't do very well in network marketing for my first couple of years. I really, really struggled. And then I dropped into one of the magical benefits of network marketing. Maybe this has happened to some of you. Maybe you're like me, or maybe you've provided this gift to somebody in your upline. But you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you got tons of confidence, you got a massive amount of motivation, like you're on fire like the Philippines. You know tons of people. You have the kind of credibility when you call people up or message people and say, hey, will you come to my meeting? Or will you come and have coffee with me? They show up, right? And so you're highly motivated, you got a lot of confidence, you know tons of people, and when you call those people, they actually show up. So I call that on a scale of 1 to 10 a 10. Those are the kind of people that when they get into business, they just seem to magically rise to the top. How many of you are one of those people? Oh, a couple, right? Usually ends up being about 2 or 3% of us. What are the rest of us? We're 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s. What does that mean? Well, we don't have a lot of confidence. Maybe we suffer some in our motivation because we don't have a really good belief system. We don't know a lot of people. The people we know don't return our phone calls. Those are like 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, like that. But here's one of the magics of network marketing. A 2 can do what?
Indeed a 3.
A 2 can enroll a
3.
A 10. When a 2 enrolls a 10, what does a 2 become? This is basic math.
A 6.
When a 2 enrolls a 10, what does a 2 become?
A 6.
I think a 12. So anyway, this happened to me 2.5 years into my business, struggling, living on my sister's couch. I just happened to take some product to a guy who wanted some more product. And during delivering the product to him, he says, "Is there any money in this?" And I said, "Oh, blow your mind how much money's in this." And he said, "Well, show me." So I showed him, just like probably you guys have showed all kinds of people. And I showed him like 4 who get 4, who get 4, who get 4, who get 4, who get 4. And before you know it, you got 9 million people in your sales organization. And if everybody's just doing $100 a month, well, I really only showed him like $5 grand a month. And he stared at all that mess, and guess what he said? He said, "I can do that." I said, "You can't? You can't?" Well, I can't. I've been looking for you, buddy. Anyway, his name's Jerry Schaub, and he got the business. And about 9 months later, I was making $10,000 a month.
Woo!
It's 1979. So you can convert that in today's US dollars, it's about 40 grand a month, maybe 30 grand a month. And guess who I became? So if you would have looked at me before Jerry Schaub, I would have looked like this. I would have, like, my reputation in the business would have been, he's the most persistent guy in the whole team. What does that mean? You fail more consistently than anyone else in the team, but you're just too stupid or stubborn to quit. That's who I was. So I kind of went around like this, you know, because I was all beat up. You know, I kept like bashing my head into the wall. But guess who I was 9 months after sponsoring Jerry Schaub? And guess how I got introduced? No longer was I the most persistent guy in the organization. Now the way they introduced me was, I'd like to introduce you to Richard Brooke, who's going to speak to us now. He's the guy who sponsored Jerry Schaub. And I walked to the front of the room like, yeah, that's me. So when you're 28 years old and you got, I think where I peaked, I had 30,000 people on my team. I was making $40,000 a month at the age of 28. I think if that would have happened to any of you, you could go on and build yourself a pretty good career, don't you think, in network marketing? So I take all of the credit for my network marketing career and everything that happened after that, and I boil it all the way back to showing Jerry Schaub, one more person. After hundreds of people had quit, one more person, just showing them, here's how it works. And Jerry Schaub made it for me. And after that, I just parlayed that success. So yes, in 1992, Success Magazine featured me and my company. By that time, I owned my own network marketing company. They featured us on the cover. First time and last time a company's ever been featured on the cover of Success Magazine. I spent, I don't know, maybe 20 years in the Direct Selling Association, on the ethics committee, building my own company for 30 years. Some of you may have seen Super MLM Man. You know who that is? I'm Super MLM Man. Just a skit that I did, interviewing people on the streets, find out what they thought about network marketing. I also, somewhere along the way, created a coaching and seminar and publishing business called Bliss Business. So which brings me to the part of the you story. So far I've told you about me. 40 years in the profession, built a big team of my own, then I went on to own my own company for 30 years. And in building my own company, here's the vision that I had. I had a vision of creating the stellar role model network marketing company for our profession. A company that would not only eventually perhaps be the biggest, but more importantly than being the biggest was to be the best. Be the best, not in how much money people made perhaps, but in the way people in our company went about doing the business. Doing the business in a way that actually honored the public, honored people that we were talking about, honored distributors. And one of the reasons I did the Super MLM Man episode, if you haven't watched it, I encourage you to go watch it, is if you go interview 20 or 30 or 40 people on the street and you ask them about network marketing, most of them are going to have kind of a negative attitude about network marketing, right?
Yes.
And the reason they're going to have that attitude is because of the way we prospected them as a profession for the last 70 years. So my vision with my company was, let's do it different. Let's build a company with extraordinary products and extraordinary people, and let's leave the marketplace, let's leave the network marketing prospect marketplace, all those people we talk to, let's leave it better off than we found it. So that 10 or 15 years from now, if somebody were to go introduce somebody to a network marketing opportunity, instead of that person going, oh, you mean like, probably like the A word, oh, you mean like the A word, they might say, oh, you mean like my company was OxyFresh. Oh, you mean like OxyFresh. So we had this vision of doing it different, building it in an extraordinary fashion. And about 4 years ago, I married this beautiful lady who you're going to hear from tomorrow. Her name is Kimmy. She's a super successful network marketer. And for the last 4 years, she and I have been building this company together. And then something strange happened about a year and a half ago. So I told you we also have this coaching and publishing and seminar business. We have clients in that business that from all different companies, maybe 50 different network marketing companies. And we do everything from one-day seminars to two-day seminars to 5-day transformational retreats. And one of the things that Kimmy and I started discovering through the generic work that we did with lots of different leaders is we started discovering that our Young Living clients were doing better than any other company that we coached or trained, including our own. And of course, the first time we observed this, we're like, well, you know, I don't know. And we just kind of forgot about it. And then we'd learn it again, discover it again, and we'd get together and we'd debrief after a seminar and we'd say, what about that gal in Young Living, And we would ask them, and they might be like a gold or a diamond, and we say, well, how did you get there? Okay, how much money do you earn as a diamond? And they say, well, $15,000 or $20,000 a month. And usually in the United States, this is a woman, a wife, and she's got 4 or 5 kids. And so she built this business that's making her $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a month while she's raising 4 or 5 kids and having them. Like having them. These women would come to our retreats nursing, not nursing, but what do they call it? Pumping? You do that here?
Yes.
And I was like, how do you do that? How do you build such an extraordinary business and you're having and raising kids at the same time? And you know what their answer was? The typical Young Living distributor that showed up at our events. I don't know, I just sort of have some classes and share some products. And you're making 25 grand a month? I think so, my husband takes care of all of that. And so, after experiencing this a few times, Kimmy and I got our heads together and said, we need to figure out what this company's doing. So fortunately, we had some really good friends that were leaders in the company, and one of the things we finally did is we got into their back office, Oily Tools. So you know Oily Tools?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We got into their Oily Tools and we started poking around at some numbers. And we found this one particular number, which leads me to the story about us. Me, you, us. So we found this one particular number, and we have this friend who's a Royal Crown Diamond in Canada, And we were looking at his oil and tool office, and I said, Adam, how do you calculate that number right there? And he said, that's the percentage of people that have ever enrolled in Essential Rewards, which is essentially auto ship, as we knew it. You call it Essential Rewards. He said that's the number of percentage of people that have ever enrolled in Essential Rewards that are still active every month with at least $100. And you know what I said to Adam? 40 years worth of experience. You know what I said to Adam?
That's a very big number.
That can't be. That can't be. That number's like 50%. That can't be.
Yeah.
You know what it was in my company? 8. 8%.
Oh my God.
In our company, in a company that we focused on extraordinary products, extraordinary service. And we had a great team of people, and we were growing. 8 versus 50. Now I know 50 is, some people are 50, some people are 20. It doesn't matter. Anything way over 8 is absolutely extraordinary. So, I'll give you an example. If you like math, and I really love math, and this is a calculation that I did. So I took our 8% retention. So basically, if 100 people would join our business and get on auto ship, if we looked at them 2 or 3 years later, how many of them are still on auto ship? In our company, it was 8%. If you can compare compounding at 8% versus compounding at 50%, here's the difference. You start off with $100,000 cash, and you compound it at just, let's say, 7%, which is easier to calculate. If you compound it at 7% for 10 years, you start off with $100,000 cash. Do we have any whiz kids in here that know about how much you have 10 years later? 200,000. So money doubles every 10 years if you compound it at 7%. Do you know how much you have if you compound it at 50%? $2 million. A 10-fold increase in the size of the organization. So Kimmy and I put our heads together and we asked ourselves, what are we doing here? What is our mission? What are we looking to accomplish? And even though we loved owning our own company, we loved our team, we loved our products, what the overriding purpose was is that the people that we were leading could enjoy the kind of success that she and I have enjoyed in this business. And the difference between 8% and 50%, even the difference between 8% and 20%, is you just can't ignore it. It's just absolutely huge. So we actually started asking, what if? What if, instead of owning our own company, what if we just joined Young Living? What if we just took all of our people and joined Young Living instead of owning our own company? And that was not an easy decision to make, because you can imagine owning your own company is like a pretty big deal, at least you get to make all the decisions, right or wrong. So we had a lot of fun owning our own company, but at 8%, we were in for a long haul. One of the slides that I'd like to show you, if I could repeat it, is, I think Jared showed it earlier. Remember the bar graph Jared showed you on the sales success of Young Living? Remember all those years that were just like this? Like 1992, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. That's what we were looking forward to experiencing, is all those long, hard years of really slow growth. But then we looked at, where's Young Living now? And then you see how that bar graph just jumps and jumps and jumps. So we made the decision to throw in with all of you. And let me tell you what we found about Young Living once we looked past just that number, that retention level. We found something that I think is the holy grail, the most important thing in building wealth in network marketing, and that's culture. And I know a couple of you, Diamonds or Royal Crowns, are going to be talking about culture in the workshops tomorrow. But culture is everything. And what Kimmy and I found in Young Living is a culture. I want to liken it to your grandmother's recipe. A recipe that you can put down in writing. So you could list all these things about Young Living's culture. You could list the products. You could list every product that the company has. You could list seed for seal. You could seed to seal. You could list the farms. You could list the education. You could list all the events. You could list all the events where people go to the farms, which I think is one of the magic ingredients of Young Living. You could list the training. You could list the management staff. You could list the ownership of Young Living. That could all be in a recipe. And somebody could take that recipe and try to bake your cake. And what would they end up with? Not your grandmother's cake. Right? Because there's magic in the culture here. It's not just the list of everything that Young Living's got going for it. It's the magic of 25 years worth of blood, sweat, and tears. 25 years worth of risk-taking on Gary's part. 25 years worth of vision on Gary's part. 25 years worth of faith and belief and hard work on all of your part. And I know what that hard work is about. So there's 3,000 of you here. How many of you were here at the grand opening of Asia? Raise your hand high. Hi. Look around, folks. I mean, you owe everything to these people. Why? They came back. They didn't quit. They brought people with them. And now you have the opportunity, as Asia Pacific, you have the opportunity to own the future of network marketing. Here's some other things that we found about Young Living. So I don't know if I'm not authorized to talk about sales, but this company's well over $1 billion a year and still growing. But you saw a chart earlier, what percentage of that comes from North America? Like 90% of it, right? So you look at any network marketing company in our profession that does $3, $4, $5, $8, $9 billion a year, what percentage of their sales come from Asia Pacific?
80.
60, 70, 80% come from Asia Pacific. So one of the things that we found by studying Young Living is we found this. We found a piece of our own vision for our own company that is going to happen here no matter what. Whether we get involved, whether you keep building, this is going to happen. This is the destiny for Young Living. And there is not another company in the profession, not another company in our industry that has a shot at doing this. You know who the #1 company in the profession is? A for Amway. You know what their sales are?
$7 billion.
$8.5 billion a year, declining. Do you know how long they've been the #1 network marketing company in the profession? 50 years. For 50 years, that company has dominated our profession. And do you know who has the best shot on the planet of becoming the #1 company?
Young Living.
Young Living has the best shot. Well, why is that? Well, again, I go to math. I get the recipe, I get the cake, I get the magic that's here, but I also look at the math. If you're already well over $1 billion a year and you're growing 30, 40% a year, and 90% of it comes from North America, guess who hasn't even kicked in yet? You! Asia Pacific hasn't even kicked in yet. When you kick in and fulfill your destiny, you add another $4, $5 billion, $6 billion a year to Young Living, and Young Living becomes the #1 company in our profession. And here's the last thing that attracted Kimmy and I to the culture here. You know, there's a lot of network marketing companies out there that are all about the money. They're all about business. They're all about recruiting people for rank advancement and money. They're all about being the fastest growing. They're all about being the business, the biggest in the business, but they're not all about love and family. And one of the things that we discovered about Young Living that we love the most is, I'll just sum it up in one word: family. This company has the family culture, the family values, and that's what will allow it to be standing here 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now. The legacy income coming from the family values. That was the final straw for us. And so, in June of 2017, we made a critical decision. We brought our team together. One of the most magical things that happened for Kimmy and I is we brought our team together. We had never discussed doing this. It was never in our business plan. We brought our team together on about 10 days' notice. We brought the 30 top leaders together, and we basically told them the same story I just told you. And you said, you know, we told them, we said, we're thinking about joining Young Living. And we took 3 days to tell them that. So we took this story that I told you, and we, with the help of Young Living Management and a lot of product education, we took 3 days to tell our top leaders, we're thinking about joining Young Living. You know what they all said after 3 days?
Let's do it.
We're in. And so we've only been at it for 8 months, and I know some of you have heard, you know, we made Diamond in the first month. Well, don't let that, we brought a team with us, so that doesn't count. We have a lot of work to do to catch up to you Crown Diamonds and Royal Crown Diamonds, and we're looking so forward to learning from you how you've done it, learn how this culture works, add to it if we can. But we actually love, love, love the decision that we made. One of the things that we've experienced since joining Young Living is the recruiting of our team, the team members in our company that we brought over. Just so we brought them over to Young Living, they're enrolling 3 times more people than they ever did in the history of our company. We know it was the right decision. And the last thing I want to leave you with is irony. So I know you're all here and you're to be applauded for being here. But I would ask all of you this question. You don't need to raise your hand. You can maybe just write it in your notes. It might be valuable to write it in your notes. You know, the fact that you love Young Living products is a really good reason to be a customer. Is that why you're here? You're here because you want to be a really good customer? Really? You traveled all the way to Kuala Lumpur because you want to be a really good customer? Loving Young Living products is a really good reason to be a really good customer. What else is it about Young Living that you want that led you here? To be a great leader. Great answer. How will we know you are a great leader? How will you know? How will your team know? How will I know? How will Ben know? How will Jared know you're a great leader? Because why? So a great leader has leaders. Does it stand to reason that the more leaders you have, the greater leader you are? Well, if you're a great leader, you've attracted lots of people, you've attracted lots of leaders, right? So when we talk about why we're here and what we're looking for, one of the things that Kimmy and I have noticed about the Young Living culture, and it usually comes with companies that have extraordinary products, is people have trouble sometimes getting their head around, their heart around, owning the opportunity to build a business, to build a legacy income, to build freedom for yourself. So if you want to be a Royal Crown Diamond, or you want to be a crown diamond, or you want to be a diamond. How many of you want that? Okay, that's why you're here? Do you want that for no pay, or do you want the money? So it's valuable for you to own the idea that you want to be a great leader, you want to build a big team, and you want the abundance that comes with it. It's valuable for you to own that that's why you're here. I know a lot of you came because you wanted to see old friends, you wanted to hear the speakers, you wanted to be around the energy. But if you're not here to learn how to build a big team, then you're missing being part of the future of Young Living. So if you're here to build a big team, here's what I would ask you. Just take perhaps the last 90 days, the last 3 months. You can write it in your notes. How many people have you personally enrolled in the last 3 months? Just write that number in your notes. Go ahead and write it right now. How many people have you personally enrolled in the last 3 months? I know if you're a Royal Crown Diamond, you probably don't need to enroll anyone, but most of us here need to be enrolling to build our team, right? So write down your number, how many people you've enrolled in the last 3 months. I see some of you not writing anything. You're either stubborn or the number is 0, right? Or 1. So here's what we find, and here's what Kimmy and I are going to be working with you over on the next 2 or 3 days. Some of you that are going to KK, we're going to work with you some more on it, is that we're here because we want to build a team. We want to be part of creating the future of Young Living. We want to be cause and effect there. We don't want to just go along for the ride. We want to create the ride. We want to be part of that growth. We want to create that growth. That's what we want. But unfortunately, the universe does not respond to what you and I want, does it? It doesn't care what we want. Not at all. If it did, we'd all be skinny and rich, right? The universe doesn't care what you and I want. It only responds to what we believe is inevitable for us. It only responds to what we're willing to work for. So the reason I ask you how many people you personally enrolled in the last 90 days is that that number doesn't inspire you. If that number's not in line with what you know you need to do to build an empire, then there's something missing. And what I challenge you to do this weekend is figure out what that missing is. What is it that holds you back? What is it that maybe has you take the safe route of always talking about the product and never talking about the opportunity? What is it that holds you back from talking to people that you know? What is it that holds you back from talking to people you don't know? In order to build that empire. So that you don't make a mistake that I made. And I'm going to close with an epic mistake that I made. The mistake that you can make is to miss this opportunity. I'm going to ask the question again. Look around the room. How many of you were here at the grand opening of Asia? Raise your hand again. Look around the room. Not very many people. I'll bet there were a lot more people at that launch event. What happened to them? Same thing that can happen to you if you don't turn that desire, that I want to build an empire, into massive action, actually building it. And what might be missing is different for all of us. You know, the fears that you have might be different for all of you. Maybe it's strategy. Maybe you just don't know what you don't know. But I challenge you to figure it out before you leave here, so that when you go home, you can hit the ground running. You don't make the same mistake that I made. Here's a mistake that I made, and I'll leave you with this. In 1987, I'm living in Spokane, Washington. I owned my own network marketing company. The company was about 2 years old. But I'd already been full-time in network marketing for 11 years. already had a lot of success. Some people considered that I knew something about network marketing. Especially the top distributor in my company, who also lived in Spokane, Washington. He thought I knew a lot about network marketing because he was in my company, right? Make sense? Mm-hmm. So one day he said, hey, I got a friend of mine over here in Spokane that's thinking about starting a network marketing company. And he'd really like to talk to you about what it takes to do that and whether or not he should. So, of course, I'm the guy who what? Don't forget, I'm the guy who sponsored Jerry Shaw. So I said, oh, somebody wants to talk to me about starting a network marketing company? Sure. I'll talk to him about starting a network marketing company. So I went over to this guy's house with my top distributor, and I listened to this guy for 3 hours. Some farmer. Looked like a farmer. Talked like a farmer. I asked him a lot of questions about marketing and network marketing, what he knew about network marketing. He didn't know anything about network marketing. I asked him about business. He didn't know much about business. I said, what are you going to sell? He said, well, I got this stuff. You won't believe what this stuff does. I'm being recorded now, so I won't tell you what he told me the stuff did.
I know.
But I told him, if you're going to run around telling people that stuff does that, if you're going to run around looking like a farmer, if you're going to run around talking like a farmer, you don't have a prayer. Don't do it. Don't start that network marketing company. And you know what? He didn't. Honey, can you, under that tent, can you hand me that oil? He didn't. And he shouldn't have. You know why he shouldn't have? He didn't have any idea what he was doing. Didn't have any experience, didn't have any money, didn't really have any business acumen, had a crazy wackadoo product he wanted to sell. He shouldn't have, and he didn't. For about 5 years, and then he did. Stand up and we'll toast to him. I'll tell you who it was. Stand up. Grab whatever oil you got. I got stress away and roll on. We'll toast to the guy that I told in 1987. You don't have a prayer. That vision you have about changing the world and healing everybody, putting that wackadoo stuff you're talking about in every home, dressed like a farmer, talking about a farmer like a farmer, you don't have a prayer. Here's to the guy who did it anyway. Gary Young. Thank you.